Scene opens with Jeremy on the front porch of a house. Jeremy pulls out a crinkled piece of paper from his pocket and examines it closely. He closes his eyes, then carefully and slowly folds the crackled paper and returns it to his pocket. Jeremy is about to knock on the front door when he turns to speak to someone off stage.
Just give me a minute, will ya? Yeah, I know, you can't wait all day. This won't take long. I already got my stuff packed, and I already paid you. Just sit tight for a minute, okay?
Jeremy takes a deep breath, then knocks on the front door. No one answers. He knocks again, and a middle-aged man answers the door.
Hello? Can I help you?
Hi, David Haggerty, right?
Yes, I'm David Haggerty. Who are you? Can I help you with something?
Mr. Haggerty, you may not remember me. I was one of your music students at the Academy, class of 2002. You taught me for 4 years.
Okay, class of 2002, one of my students. That has been quite a while, so you'll have to forgive me. You do look vaguely familiar, and your voice sounds familiar. What instrument did you play?
Piano? You taught me for 4 years. I'm Jeremy Witherspoon. You probably don't remember me. I shouldn't have bothered you.
Jeremy Witherspoon? Of course, now I remember you. Class of 2002, yes. Now it's coming back to me. I remember your graduation piece, Bach Piano Concerto No. 1 in D minor. I'd never heard a high school senior conquer Bach the way you did. And not just Bach, but Concerto No. 1, D minor. I played the video of your performance for 10 years after you graduated. One of the most remarkable performances I've ever heard. I think I still have that video somewhere. Forgive me for not recognizing you at first. You look different, Jeremy. I didn't know who you were.
Thank you. I didn't think you'd remember me at all, so I'm glad something I did stuck with you in a good way.
Jeremy, you were one of the best piano students I ever had. Your technique, mastery of different keystrokes, just everything. Your graduation piece was one of my finest moments as a teacher. So, how have you been? Do you still play piano?
No, I stopped after high school. I was in the Army for 8 years. Went in straight from high school, fall of 2002. Got out in 2010.
Yes, I do remember you went into the service right after school. I read the article about you in the local paper. Such a shame. I mean that you stopped playing piano, not that you went into the service. No shame in that. That's not what I meant. So, I suppose you didn't have a lot of time to play piano in the service.
There weren't any pianos in Afghanistan, and not a lot of free time to play, even if we had one.
Of course not. So it has been a while, quite a while. Forgive me for not recognizing you at first. What brings you here, Jeremy?
I'm just catching up with people who've been important in my life. Trying to make amends. I always appreciated how much you taught me about music. I guess I didn't always let people know that I was grateful. I'm just trying to make things right with people who took care of me.
Jeremy, you were a high school kid. Even in a music academy, very few students have the awareness or ability to express gratitude, especially to their teachers. It was enough for me just to see you succeed the way you did. And you don't need to make amends, at least not to me. So, Jeremy, class of 2002, it has been a while. It seems like it has been much longer than 18 years. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry for surprising you like this. There is something
David, who's there? We have to leave soon, and you know I hate being late.
Michael, please come here. I have a visitor I haven't seen in years. One of my former students. Michael, meet Jeremy Witherspoon, one of my best former students at the Academy. Class of 2002. Jeremy, this is my partner, Michael.
Nice to meet you, Jeremy. David, you do know we need to leave soon, and you aren't even close to being dressed.
I know, Michael, I'm sorry. We don't get surprise visitors every day, especially not one of my former students, one of my star former students. You remember that video I used to play at every graduation? The young man who absolutely conquered Bach's Piano Concerto No. 1 in D minor? The ovation from the crowd after he finished. This is him, Jeremy Witherspoon.
Oh, yes, I remember the video. David played the video and others at every Academy graduation until 2013, maybe later. I think the videotape finally broke. He played it so often. You were quite the musician, Jeremy.
Thank you. Listen, Mr. Haggerty,
You can call me David now, Jeremy. 18 years out of high school, you can call me David.
Thank you, David. So, as I was saying, I'm just catching up with people who've been important in my life, trying to make amends and seek forgiveness for the things I did.
Well, Jeremy, I appreciate your visit, but you have nothing to apologize for, at least not to me. And if you did, I wouldn't remember now anyway. No need to make amends and nothing to apologize for.
Oh, well, David, you will have something to apologize for if we're late for dinner with my parents. You know how agitated my mother gets when we're late. Would you please get dressed now?
Yes, of course, Michael. The last thing I would need is your mother agitated. Jeremy, I apologize, but Michael and I do have to go. It was great seeing you. Let's have lunch sometime so we can thoroughly catch up. I would love to hear how you are doing. We could have lunch at our house. Do you live nearby?
Sort of. Actually, I'm between places at the moment.
Between places? Oh dear. Where are you staying now?
With friends. Listen, Mr. Haggerty, David, I shouldn't have come here on short notice. You and Michael are busy. I'll leave now. Could I trouble you for a glass of water before I go?
Yes, Jeremy, I will get you a glass of water. David, please get dressed now. I'll get Jeremy some water while you get dressed. Go, hurry, please. I don't want to be late. You can make plans with Jeremy when you come back fully dressed and ready to go. Michael, why don't you come in? Jeremy, I'll be back with that water.
Michael points Jeremy inside and points him to a sofa. Jeremy sits down on the sofa slowly and uncomfortably. Michael exits and quickly returns with 2 glasses of water. Jeremy is seated on the sofa. Michael sits across from him in a chair.
I'm so sorry to bother you both. I should have known this was a bad idea.
No need to apologize, at least not to me. So you and David were catching up with people, making amends, seeking forgiveness. Why did you stop here? What did you do to David that justifies an apology? And why now, after 18 years?
Mr. H. David was the only teacher at the Academy who had any faith in me. He put up with me when he shouldn't have. I never properly thanked him for everything he did for me.
I have seen that video of you at the graduation. David played it for years, at every graduation after that. I saw you play. I almost cried, and I don't even play music. You're a brilliant musician. That performance is thanks enough for any music teacher.
He pushed me harder than any other teacher, even after the others gave up on me. Mr. H never gave up on me. He probably should have.
Good teachers never give up on their students.
How long have you and Mr. H, David, been together?
Since 2005. It'll be 16 years in April. But you still haven't told me why you feel the need to apologize to David now, after all these years. What did you do?
It's what I didn't do. I stopped playing piano as soon as I left high school. Haven't played a note since then. That video of me playing at my 2002 graduation, that was the last time I touched a piano.
Wow, 18 years. Why did you quit?
I felt I had given enough to music. I had nothing else left to give, nothing else left to learn. After my graduation, David made me promise that I would continue playing. Don't deprive the world of your marvelous gift, Jeremy, he said to me. Please promise you'll keep playing. Talent like yours comes once in a generation. Please, please keep playing. So I promised him I would continue playing, but I stopped. Haven't touched a piano since then. I never kept my promise to David, which is why I need to make amends. That's why I'm here.
What did you do after high school?
Army. Went to Afghanistan as soon as I finished basic.
So you went from Bach to Afghanistan. Jesus. How long were you in?
8 years. Got out in 2010.
And you came home in one piece, physically anyway.
Yeah, one piece.
So who else is on your list?
What list?
The one in your pocket, the one with all the names of all the people and all the addresses on your worldwide apology tour. The one you keep with you all the time, even if you never read it. The names of loved ones who may never forgive you, even if God does. And the names of people who will always love you, and the ones who will never stop hating you, all on one piece of paper.
How did you know?
Step number 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step number 9. Made direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when doing so would injure them or others. You're in step 8 and 9 of the 12-step recovery program. It took me 4 years to get past step 9.
So you're in recovery too. So you know. You must have hurt a lot of people.
Too many to count. Some I don't count. Some I can't forget. And you probably didn't count the ones in Afghanistan.
What the hell would you know about that? You don't know me well enough to talk about Afghanistan. I knew this was a bad idea. Tell Mr. H, David, that I thank him for everything he did for me.
He drains his glass of water in one gulp.
Look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. Like I said, it took me 4 years to get past step 9, and I'm a very slow learner when it comes to recovery.
Jeremy does not leave, but does not turn to face Michael. He is still facing the front door.
Look, you don't understand what it was like over there. Guys who served, there's a lot of stuff most people don't understand.
I think I know a bit more than you might think. Turn around. Let me show you something.
Jeremy turns slowly, very slowly, towards Michael. Michael approaches tentatively, rolls up his sleeve, and shows Jeremy a tattoo on the inside of his forearm.
Semper Fi? Really?
I'm not as lean and I'm not as mean, but always a Marine.
Marine, huh? When?
1990 through 1996. Served in Desert Storm in between. Went in when I was 20 and left 6 years later and 100 years older.
Damn. But, no offense, but how could you have served? I mean, you and Mr. H, couple. I mean, they didn't allow gays to serve back then.
well, they didn't ask and I didn't tell. Like any good relationship was based on a series of mutually and continuously repeated lies. I finally left when I couldn't hold up my end of the bargain. It got harder and harder to lie like they wanted me to.
I'm sorry. Not assuming that you didn't serve. It's just that you don't look like
a Marine. David said the same thing the first time I met him. I guess I got pretty good at hiding things. For a long time, I hid who I was from the military. And then after I got out, I hid who I used to be from the civilians. It's taken me a long time to learn how to be honest.
David Haggerty emerges from backstage, holding a blue dress shirt in one hand and a blue tie and a red tie in the other hand. Michael's facing away from David. Jeremy is facing David and can see him, but Michael cannot see David.
Michael, I know we're late, so...
Oh, wear the blue tie, David. It goes better with the blue shirt you brought out.
But how do you know?
Because it's the same shirt and two ties you always bring out. And the blue tie still looks better. And wear the brown loafers, not the black ones.
David examines the shirt and ties, shakes his head in disbelief, says nothing, and returns off stage.
He's a 52-year-old gay music teacher. You'd think he'd know how to dress himself.
I see honesty is coming easier for you. So, you're in recovery too, huh?
Always will be. I left the military in '96. I escaped, don't ask, don't tell, but I could not escape what I saw in Desert Storm. After I left the military, I came home and saw the same brown, bloody faces and dismembered bodies every night. Headless bodies. A leg next to a bombed out car. An arm hanging over a fence. No other body parts anywhere, just the arm. A child's torso, a tiny little body on the side of the road. Same images every night. It got so I could not sleep unless I was passed out drunk. I woke up one morning covered in my own vomit in a neighborhood I did not recognize. That was the bottom.
Do you still see them? The bodies?
Every night. Every night. So tell me, why does a guy with your musical talent give it up the piano to join the Army?
I felt like I had conquered music. Like I couldn't get any better. I'd reached the pinnacle of music, at least in my mind. I needed something new to conquer. I finished basic and then went to infantry school. And that was it. I found my new calling. It felt like the first time I played piano. God damn. The first time you set up that rifle, adjust the scope, find your target, line up those crosshairs, adjust for wind and distance, account for forward movement, then that soft, gentle pull, then BAM! So many things have to go right. When you do it right, it's the most precise, demanding thing you ever do. Everything has to be right. The math, the drop, the distance, the wind, target movement, even the curvature of the earth. It all has to come together. And when it does, it's
almost like music, a symphony where everything comes together.
Yeah, I guess I never thought of it that way. Like music, a symphony. Everything works in harmony, except there's only one very loud note at the end.
So, you needed something else to be good at, and the Army found it for you.
Yeah, they found it. They found it. So, you still see the bodies from Desert Storm, even after all these years?
Every night. Some of them are starting to get old, and they're not aging well, even for dead people. Sorry, a bit of old gallows marine humor.
So, when did you stop,
Feeling like a monster? Feeling like you were put on Earth to kill God's creatures? That never goes away, Jeremy, at least not for me.
I feel like I left more over there than I brought back home. There's not a lot of me here anymore.
And yet, what little we do bring home haunts us every day. So what did you bring home with you from Afghanistan?
He was just a kid. Maybe a teenager, if that. Jesus, how was I supposed to know?
Who?
So, I'm at my lookout post early one morning. We'd gotten some intel about Taliban moving through to set up ambush points along the end, north of our base. One of our convoys had gotten ambushed the previous week. Two of our guys got blown to pieces. So I'm up high on this ridge, my lookout post, amped, looking down on the village, looking for any sign of movement. I'm on my belly scanning this village with my scope. It's early, and I see a guy walking with a bunch of goats out of the village. He's headed north. Now, I know he's headed to a choke point in the road with an incline. Steep hill on both sides, covered. It's perfect for an ambush. But all I see is a guy and some goats. So I keep glassing. And behind the guy with the goats comes another guy. And this guy, he's carrying an AK-47. I put the glass down and look again. Sure as shit, AK slung over his back. Now I'm amped. Wait. Maybe it's just a shepherd guarding his flock. Can't take him out now just for carrying an AK and walking next to some goats. Then a third guy comes out, and I glass him, and I can see he's carrying something over his shoulder, something long. And then I see the dome peeking out of the top. He's got an RPG-7 loaded. So I crawl back behind my cover and radio back to base, tell him what I saw. And base gives me clearance to shoot. Take them all out, all three. A guy with an AK and some goats is a maybe. But an RPG, that's an always. My rig is already set up. I crawl behind the gun and set the scope on the guy with the RPG. But now the wind kicks up, and I can't see any of them. I know where they're going. If they get just 100 yards north, they're going to be behind a ridge, and I can't get to them. Goddamn dust. Can't see a thing. The dust clears a bit, and now they're moving. All of them. Walking among the goats, ducking and changing places. Dust everywhere. They're zigzagging back and forth, crossing men and goats in a big tangle. I finally get a bead on RPG, then check the wind. Now he starts jogging, faster, almost running. So I have to adjust for movement. RPG is ahead of the other two. I can see the dome glinting in the morning sun. I fire once, 4 paces ahead of him, and he drops. Jesus, lucky shot. Now the guy with the AK runs back to see what happens. He looks my way, but he can't see me. Crouches down, picks up the RPG from his dead buddy on the ground. AK still slung over his shoulder. He looks towards the ridge, and I think I'm spotted. But now he's not moving, just standing there, looking up. He aims the RPG towards my position. I fire again, and he drops. Third guy's nowhere to be found. 2 down, 1 missing, and a bunch of very confused goats. I radio back to base, tell them what happened. Guys from the base are already on their way. Keep your location until we clear you, they tell me. So I stay put. Then they radio back and tell me to come down. After I get clearance, I race down from my position to check it out. I am pumped, man. 2 shots, 2 kills. Then I get a closer look at the guy with the AK. I look at his face. Jesus, he can't be older than 12. Maybe 13? Just a kid. A goddamn kid. What the hell is he doing with an AK? Who gave that to him? Christ! I see that kid every day. His face like a baby. Almond-shaped brown eyes, and that baby face. I see him every fucking day. That's who I brought home. That's why I need to make amends. To seek forgiveness.
Jesus, I'm sorry. But the dead will never forgive you. And even if they could, they can't. It took me a long time to figure that out. You can't apologize to those who aren't here, Jeremy. The only thing you can do is make progress on that list of yours and make amends and seek forgiveness from those who are still here. So who else is left?
Jeremy pulls out the crinkled piece of paper. It is actually 10 sheets of paper stapled together. He carefully, painstakingly examines each of the 10 sheets of paper, spending a few seconds on each sheet. Then he gently refolds them and puts the stapled list back in his pocket.
A few.
I see. So this is just one stop on what will be a very long apology tour. Uh, what about your wife or girlfriend?
Just a wife. I had a wife and a girlfriend for a while. Turns out it doesn't end well when they find out about each other. And we're going through a bit of a rough patch now.
That would explain the moving truck parked outside my house. That's one hell of a rough patch. Any kids?
Yeah, 2. That's an even rougher patch. They don't speak to me.
One thing I know about people who end up with guys like us, they have an endless capacity to forgive. They need to forgive almost as much as we need to screw things up. It's why they pick us. They need to forgive, and we need someone to forgive us. So your wife found out about your girlfriend. You will not be the first guy to step out on his wife. Did you seek forgiveness and make amends to her?
It wasn't just the girlfriend. She forgave me for that. It took a while, but she forgave me for the girlfriend.
So you did something else.
Yeah, I did something else much worse than stepping out with another woman. You probably don't want to hear about this, and I've taken enough of your time. I should go.
I do want to hear about it. It can't be any worse than some of the stuff I've done.
So that 12-year-old kid with an AK, the one I shot, I told you I still see him every day. When I got back home, I saw him every night in my dreams. That brown face and those big almond-shaped eyes, just looking straight at me every night. Then one night I see him, but he's pointing the AK at me. And he's saying something, but I don't understand. And so I jump him, and I put my hands around his throat. I want him to go away. Just leave me the hell alone. God damn it, leave me the hell alone. And I start choking him, thinking I can kill him, which is stupid because he's already dead, and I killed him. So I keep choking him, and then I hear him scream my name. And then I wake up, and it's Stephanie, my wife. I had my hands around her throat, thinking she was the kid from Afghanistan. I almost choked her to death.
Jesus.
I tried to explain, to tell her that I wasn't trying to kill her. I was trying to kill someone else, someone I saw in a bad dream. Turns out that explanation isn't much better. So she got a restraining order and kicked me out. I don't blame her. I would have done the same thing.
Well, that explains the moving truck. And I assume your parents, siblings, cousins, and other family members are on that list, even though you've burnt those bridges to a crisp.
Yeah, they're on the list, but wait a minute. How do you know what bridges I've burned?
Well, let's see. There's that moving truck parked outside my house. I heard you yelling at the movers before you came in. Your wife has a restraining order against you, and your kids don't talk to you. And of all the people on your list, you picked your high school piano teacher, who you haven't seen in 18 years first. That tells me you haven't always made the best relationship choices. I guess I can't blame you.
I guess you think you know me pretty well. I should go. Thank you for the water.
I don't know you at all, but I understand what you've been through, maybe more than anyone else on that list. I'm going to give you 2 pieces of advice, one military man to another. First, you have to find something else that you're good at. If not music or war, then something else, anything. Second, the first person you have to forgive is yourself. Your name should be first on that list.
I will keep that in mind. Thank you, Michael.
Good luck, Jeremy.
David Haggerty enters the scene from off stage, now completely dressed in dress pants and the blue shirt and blue tie that were recommended.
Okay, Michael, I'm ready to go. Sorry it took so long. I hope you two were able to find something to talk about.
We muddled through.
Jeremy, I really hope you're well. I won't stop thinking about you and your performance. I hope you play piano again, not for me or anyone else, just for you. Please keep in touch and good luck. Let's have a long lunch when you get situated. We really do have to go now. Ready, Michael?
Uh, Actually, David, I think we have a few minutes before we have to leave. Jeremy, if you don't have someplace else to go right now, why don't you stay a minute?
Michael, the last thing I need is your mother agitated.
I'll call my folks and tell them that we are running late. I've learned to live with my mother's irritation. Besides, we have something very important to do. We have a piano in the living room. Want to sit down and play a few notes?
I couldn't. God, no. You two have to go, and I feel like I've intruded enough. I don't want to keep you from dinner. Thank you, but no. And besides, I've forgotten how to play. It's been 18 years.
Your kind of gift is not forgotten. It's in your DNA. I know, it's been 18 years, and you don't have to start with Bach. Start with Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, or something easy, and go from there.
I don't think I could, but thank you anyway. And besides, the movers.
I will tell the movers to cool their heels for an hour or two, and I'll pay them for an hour of their time if they just stay put.
Thank you, but Mr. H, David, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of the last time I saw you seated at a piano. The tuxedo, the crowd, the graduation ceremony, the brilliant way you played. I remember it like it was yesterday. God, it was amazing. My finest moment as a teacher. You were the best student I ever had.
Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step number 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, and except when you do that, when they would do injury to themselves or others. Jeremy, this seems like an easy way for you to meet step 9, at least with David. I can't speak to the others on your list, but a couple of minutes at a piano and you and David are all set. Amends made, all forgiven. Come on, what do you say?
Okay. But I have to start small. Maybe chopsticks. Then Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star.
Deal. You and David head into the living room. I'll go talk to the movers.
David and Jeremy walk off stage. Michael walks off stage to the front door. Scene closes, lights out, and Chopsticks plays as we hit the end. Chad.
All right.
That's
Thank you, gentlemen.
Hey, and if Steve actually closes the video again, that'd be great. It says it's closed, but I see him here.
Yeah, Steve F., you might want to, can you get at the video